Early in the morning of January 6, Russian radars stationed around Latakia, Syria detected no less than 13 kamikaze drones approaching. 10 of the explosive-laden unmanned vehicles streaked towards Maymim Air Base, while 3 others swooped towards the Russian naval base at Tartus. Just a week earlier, Maymim had sustained a mortar attack that killed 2 personnel and likely damaged several aircraft. According to Moscow, electronic warfare assets allowed them to take control of 6 of the drones. The remaining 7 were blasted out of the sky by Pantsir-S anti-aircraft vehicles, which combined 2 rapid-firing 30mm autocannons with a 12 surface-to-air missiles. A poster presented at a Russian Arms Expo claims to detail additional activity by Russian military Pantsir-S in Syria, including the destruction of a number of drones around the naval base of Tartus, a Turkish Bayraktar drone in May, 3 Israeli Heron drones between April and July, and on May 27 an RQ-21A Blackjack, a roughly 100-pound recon drone used by the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps. It also lists intercepts of 3 unguided rockets around Maymim Air Base, with the Russian government claiming at least 2 more rocket intercepts in December 2017. A Syrian Pantsir is alleged to have shot down a Turkish RF-4 Phantom reconnaissance jet in 2012, though it is also possible that a longer-range missile system was responsible. Pantsirs have also been spotted in territory held by Russian-backed separatists in eastern Ukraine. The Pantsir, armor or carapace, which is also known by the NATO codename SA-22 Greyhound, is descended from a line of Soviet-era weapons meant to protect tank battalions from air attack, starting with deadly ZSU-23 Shilka, which was based on the chassis of a PT-76 amphibious tank. In contrast to preceding self-propelled flak guns, the Shilka introduced an onboard radar to guide the 4 rapid-firing 23mm cannons in its turret, allowing it to rip low-flying jets and helicopters to shreds with little forewarning. In one action during the Yom Kippur War, Egyptian Shilkas destroyed 3 low-flying Israeli Phantom jets on an air defense suppression mission, and crippled 2 more. While the Shilka remain in service across the world, the type was succeeded in the 1980s by smaller production run of more sophisticated 2K-22 Tunguska, SA-19, vehicles, which swapped the quad guns for twin 30mm cannons. Research had shown fewer, larger shells were more likely to down a plane than many small ones, and added on better radar and 8 surface-to-air missiles, dramatically enlarging the system's engagement range. This extra firepower was hoped to suffice for defeating NATO's then new armored A-10 Thunderbolt attack jets and Apache helicopter gunships. In the 1990s, Russia began working on a Tunguska successor, swapping out the tracked, armored chassis for a truck body and increasing the missile load to 12. While the armored Tunguska was suitable for accompanying tanks over rough terrain on the front line, the idea was to make a cheaper but faster road mobile system suitable for rear area point defense duty, including protection of long-range SAM batteries from incoming anti-radar missiles and low-flying aircraft. This Pantsir has gone through many variations since the first prototype debuted in 1995, with varying truck chassis and radar configurations. The most prevalent model in Russian service uses a KAMAZ 6560 truck and has a crew of 3. A Pantsir can operate independently, or an entire battery can be slave to control of a command post or a more powerful radar unit, from which the vehicles can receive firing orders. The anti-aircraft system can detect approaching aircraft up to around 22 miles away using its passive electronically scanned array search radar. This allows it to cue its shorter range but more precise engagement radar to begin locking onto a target from 15 miles away, a process that can be accomplished in just 6 seconds. Additionally, the Pantsir has an electro-optical tracking turret with multiple imaging systems including a thermal channel as a backup sensor, particularly if jamming impairs the radar's performance. Once a targeting solution is acquired, the Pantsir can ripple fire up to 4 missiles at 2 or 3 different targets at the same time, with just 1.5 seconds between each launch. A total of 12 are slung in launch containers on either side of the turret, and they can reach targets up to 12 miles away, and between near ground level and 50,000 feet high. The 57E6 missiles don't have any onboard guidance systems, but instead continually receive targeting data via radio from the launch vehicle until they detonate near the target while soaring at Mach 3, supposedly with an estimated 70% hit probability. If the missiles don't do the trick, the Pantsir can engage incoming targets with its rapid-fire 30mm cannons housed in its rotating gun turret. The two 838M cannons can rip out up to 40 rounds per second each, 2 or 3 times the rate of fire of most machine guns, and can hit aerial targets up to 2 miles distant. The Pantsirs in Syria have attracted less attention than long-range weapons like the S-400. because it's easier to avoid the smaller protected radius that the former defend. However, a Pantsir battery will typically be the lowest tier of multi-layer integrated air defense system, which also incorporates long-range high-altitude systems like the S-400, and medium-range SAMs such as the Bucor S-350. The short-range Pantsir serves as a final line of defense, as well as a counter to low-flying planes and helicopters, missiles, drones and even rocket artillery. This capability is crucial in the current age of guided missile proliferation. Reportedly, the Pantsir successfully shot down a cruise missile in a 2012 test, and hit targets traveling at nearly 3 times the speed of sound in a later test. Integrated air defense networks can be taken apart from the air by a coordinated suppression campaign, and short-range air defenses in particular can be countered by coordinated use of long-range missiles and bombs. But doing so requires planning, time, and more expensive weapons and aircraft, which may not be readily available in a high-intensity conflict. In the case of missiles, short-range air defenses will also have a better shot at thinning out the incoming warheads before they strike. The Pantsir has had only modest export success in the Middle East and Africa, perhaps due to the system's non-negligible cost of roughly $13 to $15 million, with between 35 to 50 each in service or on order with Algeria, Iraq, Syria, the UAE and Jordan. Over 100 Pantsirs reportedly serve with the Russian military, and there are supposedly plans to install a navalized version on the aircraft carrier Kuznetsov. A modernized Pantsir-S debuted in 2015 with a more powerful radar that can detect targets up to 25 miles away and improved 50-76E missiles with a range of 18 miles. Russia has also introduced the Pantsir-S, an Arctic warfare variant using an all-terrain vehicle chassis, which ditches the cannons for 6 extra missiles that can function at -50°C. Defense officials claim that a new Pantsir-S model under development will be capable of engaging ballistic missile targets traveling several kilometers a second, normally a tall order for a short-range system. The U.S. military doesn't have a short-range air defense system nearly as capable as the Pantsir. This is because the American ground forces have been able to count on the Air Force to clear the skies of aerial threats, while Russia's military expects that its ground troops could come under sustained air attack, which is why they have developed such a diverse array of air defense systems. However, air superiority may not be achieved immediately in the crucial early phase of a conflict. More importantly, the mass drone attack in Syria perfectly illustrates why WAVs are making ground-based air defense essential. While U.S. fighters have shot down several drones over Syria, the jet fuel and guided missiles expended in such intercepts are likely far more expensive than the targets they are swatting, and few patrolling jets would struggle to counter a massed attack. Therefore, the mass drone attack on the Russian base in Syria, the largest of its kind to occur so far, is likely a harbinger of what is to come.